Your habits say a lot about who you are. You can't argue with a statement like that. Now, your habits are extremely personal and they're constantly changing as you continue to grow in life. In addition to this, you may have stumbled upon minimalism and so far you like what you're noticing, but you may also find yourself not quite ready to commit to this lifestyle. Maybe you have questions, you're eager to learn, but not sure what habits to focus on. Good news. I have 10 habits for you for everyday minimalism, plus some additional value I'm certain you'll enjoy from today's sponsor, Skillshare. But more specifics about that later. Make why a part of your everyday conversation. I love this because for me, this is where it all started, with why. Why do I feel overwhelmed in my life? Why am I struggling with self-identity? Why does minimalism interest me? Why do I want to own less? See, why is a very powerful question. Not only should we be asking ourselves this daily, but we should also make a habit out of keeping our answers a part of our everyday conversation, meaning there's no confusion around what we value and why we've decided to do something. Because at any moment, if needed to, we can speak our truth. I decided to become a minimalist because of X, Y, and Z. Or this is important to me because fill in the blank. Now, if you're not clear about your why, I want to challenge you to hit pause for a moment and really dedicate some time to figuring out what your why is. Without this, it's going to be very difficult to maintain any sort of consistent action in your life, minimalism related or not. All right, number 2 is more so a habit of the heart and mind than it is anything else. And that is knowing that you're not less than by choosing to own less. Bold statement, I know, but it's one that I feel is very real for many of us. Our society and this system we live within has coached us in many ways since birth to believe that if you have less than someone else, then you as a person are also less than. Now, maybe your parents or grandparents have instilled values and traits in you that are opposite this belief. Or maybe that inner voice we call a conscience is taking on that role. Either way, all of us have played a part in why our society is like this. Maybe you were the one that felt less than, or maybe you were the one that made someone else feel less than. See, the point I'm making is that if we as individuals can challenge and change the way we view status and value, then we as a society and culture can create a paradigm shift for ourselves and the generations to come. Remember, minimalism is not about how many physical possessions you own. It's about life, space, values, right? It's about making room for what matters. And at the center of that is you. Your worth is not and should not be determined by how much or how little you own, but instead by the character of your heart. Collect moments, not things. There's an old idiom that says you can't take it with you when you go. Now, regardless of what you believe, our possessions and things don't just get up and travel with us once we leave this earth. So with this in mind, your goal should be to enjoy life in moments that, believe it or not, are more valuable than any possession we own or hope to own one day. But I get it. There are some things that play an essential role in our ability to enjoy life. Add to that your hobbies and passions, and before you know it, more and more of those possessions start to creep in. See, I'm not saying all things are bad, and you should always choose that vacation experience no matter what. What I am saying is be intentional and assertive with the decisions you make. If you love reading, then go ahead and pick up a new novel every now and then to keep yourself busy. If baseball cards are your thing, then do that. Just remember to be honest and reasonable because you can't take it with you when you go. Learn to embrace space. Now, the reason I'm encouraging you to make this a habit of yours for everyday minimalism is because although it sounds relatively easy to do, it's actually a pretty difficult habit for us to wrap ourselves around consciously. What I mean by this is space is a good thing. Think about graphic design or interior design. A general rule of thumb for any great layout is space and balance. But see, embracing space in your personal life is much harder to do. As an example, think about a time when you were cleaning and decluttering, and as you were doing so, you managed to create space. That space could be an empty shelf or an empty cabinet, or maybe a blank wall that used to have something hanging on it. Now, for the sake of conversation, I want you to comment below if you would A, leave that space empty, or B, fill it with something new because you're consciously aware that it's empty. With complete transparency, I can admit that I have been the latter. Empty space used to make me feel like something was missing. So my default would be to search for something and sometimes buy something just to fill that space. But over time, I've learned to embrace space. And I want to encourage you to make this an everyday habit of yours as well. Think twice before you bring something into your home or space. Now, the key here is making this decision with confidence, knowing that what you decided to do is the best decision for you. Oftentimes, I've noticed with minimalism and our decluttering journeys, we can become obsessed with less. The act of letting go and decluttering, that we overlook the simple fact that what we bring into our homes is just as important as what we decide to take out. A key pain point or trigger for this can be gifts or freebies. Do I accept them? Do I not accept them? Do I realistically need or use them whenever I do accept them? In fact, there's a teacher on Skillshare, Erin Boyle, who gives a simple everyday example of this in her class all about minimalism and how to find calm and creativity in living simply. Check out this example she gives.
And I think some of this is really about kind of going against the grain. So in a typical American experience of going to the dentist's office, you are given a small goodie bag to go home with, filled with yet another tube of toothpaste and toothbrush and dental floss. And over the years, these things accumulate. For my part, I've realized that having 10 extra toothbrushes in my small apartment makes me feel crowded and cluttered. And so I refuse them at the dentist's office. I just say, no thanks, I have what I need, and move along.
Toothbrushes, right? I mean, after watching this class, Erin had me thinking about areas in my life that I've naturally overlooked out of habit, including the extra toothbrushes in my bathroom from my trips to the dentist. Now, I highly recommend you check out the rest of this class and Skillshare as a whole. If you're not familiar, they're an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for both creative and curious people. You can learn new things and skills from life and productivity to business and marketing. You can even expand your journey through minimalism with classes like Erin's. If that sounds good to you, then definitely check out Skillshare. They're very affordable, costing less than $10 a month. In fact, the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get 30% off their annual premium membership. Yes, 30%. That way you can continue to explore your creativity and your journey through minimalism. I told you you'll enjoy this. Be assertive about your choices. This feeds directly off of the last idea we just discussed in regards to managing what you bring into your home and space. This includes gifts and freebies, as I mentioned. An example of this would be, let's say you're planning a birthday party or a housewarming event or a wedding like Alexis and I are currently doing. Any sort of function that would invite the opportunity for someone to bring you gifts. See, being assertive about your choices means sticking to your guns regarding what you don't want or do want regarding gifts. Instead of dealing with yet another coffee mug with a witty quote printed on it or some sort of gadget you're never going to use, try speaking up and confidently and respectfully say, this is what I don't want, and this is what I'm open to receiving. Okay, let's keep it real. Comment below if you are or have been an impulse buyer. And if so, what was the last thing you bought? Now, personally, I used to impulse buy all the time. It's part of the reason why I accumulated so much clutter to begin with. I remember a time in my life, and I kid you not, I would go to the store out of boredom. Clothing stores, home goods stores, and although I was telling myself that I'm quote unquote window shopping, I seemed to always feel the need to buy something. It felt as though if I was leaving the store empty-handed, in my mind, it was a waste of time and a waste of gas. So I always ended up buying something I know I didn't need. If we could travel back in time to this period in my life, I could easily point many of these things out to you. As an example, in this video of me decluttering my closet for the first time, you'll see a Top Man bag laying on the chair in the bottom corner. In that bag was a pair of cropped navy blue pants that I bought thinking I would wear them more than I did. In fact, I only wore them twice, once to a family dinner, and the second time was to take pictures that I don't think I ever posted, or maybe I did. Either way, I can give you example after example of clothes, shoes, decor, knickknacks, just a bunch of stuff that ended up being just another thing I had to move, dust off, wipe down, or fold every time I built up enough energy to clean. Now, there are quite a few things we can do to reduce our impulse buying, such as making a shopping list or identifying your triggers such as boredom, as well as giving yourself at least 24 hours to think before you make any large purchases. I'll link a few videos down below where I talk about these ideas directly. There's a quote that says, "Show me where you spend your money and I'll tell you who you are." If you're confused at all about your consumption habits as a consumer, then take a look at where your money's been going the last few months, or dare I say the last year. Now, personally, early on, before I started paying attention to my money habits, I didn't really think much about the consequences of my then bad habits. However, the moment I started learning more about myself, I wasn't too happy with what I saw. Wasteful spending, thoughtless purchases. There wasn't much consciousness to my consumerism, if you know what I mean. But in recent years, especially after becoming debt-free over a year ago now, I've developed a conscious consumer habit, and there isn't anything that I purchase without thought and reason in regards to how it's going to impact my life, my surroundings, and my goals. Be present. This is another one of those habits that I love. See, sometimes we get overly obsessed with the idea of staying busy, that we think that if we're not busy or stressed or worried about something, then something else has to be wrong. But what if I told you that it's okay to not be busy all the time? That it's okay to not worry and stress. In fact, it's best that we don't stress at all. See, I've had to remind myself quite a few times that it's okay to be human, and a part of being human is embracing the emotions that come with busyness, stress, and worry. But it's also giving yourself permission to let those emotions go sometimes. Stay true to you. If you haven't noticed, those 4 words have been a part of my content for a very long time. Stay true to you. Stay true to you. To stay true to you. To stay true to you. And always remember,
stay true to you.
Stay true to you. To stay true to you. And that has been on purpose. See, I want you to remember that life, minimalism, your habits, your goals, your mindsets are personal. Meaning you can't compare your situation to someone else's apples for apples. Instead, you have to take these tools and topics we discuss through my videos and tailor them to fit your version and vision. That's the only way this is going to make sense for you. See, here's something to keep in mind. The road you travel in life will always be unique to you. Every brick, every patch of gravel, concrete, or blacktop. So as you go and explore, embrace yourself and always stay true to you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.